Hi everyone, and welcome to the book Refuge. And first off, I want to apologize that this is not a review of Outlander episode 5. I am currently in the jungles of Colombia while you're watching this, and I highly doubt that I'll be able to watch the episode with everybody else. And I still wanted to give you some Outlander content today. When I get back, the review that I do will be episodes 5 and 6. I'll just do both of those together in one long episode. But I'm so sorry that I have to skip a week, but this trip has been planned for a very long time and I can't help it. Oh, fuck. So as you can see, I still wanted to give you some Outlander content, and today I decided to rank my favorite characters. So these are going to be based on the book, of course, but there are aspects, obviously, of them that get into the TV show too. So I hope you enjoy this. It was really hard to rank these because honestly, each read and reread I've done has changed my position on each person, but that's okay. That's what's fun. And I think when you read these books at different points in your life, different characters are your favorite characters. But let's go ahead and get started. And first off, I have two things I want to say. First, I'm not counting Jamie and Claire in this ranking list because they are my favorite characters. That would be ridiculous to say anything else, just in my opinion. And I really wanted to rank more the other characters who either have POVs that we get to see or are really important to the story or are just really fun side characters who we love a lot. So Jamie and Claire are not on this list. It's a top 5 list and I have 4 people who are honorable mentions. So let's go ahead and start with my honorable mentions. And the first one is John Quincy Myers, because how fun is he? I love his character so much. I love how jovial he is, but how knowledgeable and how helpful he is to the Frasers when they're first getting to America. We're first introduced to him in the beginning of Drums of Autumn, so pretty much as soon as we come to America, we meet him. And I just think he's so much fun. And I love that a lot of Diana's best side characters are based on people she knows. So I believe there is actually a guy named John who this person's based on, but not the hernia that he has the first time we meet him. But I love it. I wish they had had his hernia story in the show, but what can you do? Then I have Jenny and Ian, adult Ian, senior Ian, as honorable mentions because we don't get enough of them. We see bits of them in books 1 through 3, and then we get to see Jenny later on. And well, I guess we get to see them in book 4 too, when Brianna is there. And I just think they're so great. They are that quintessential Scottish family, running the estate for Jamie and then for their son all these years and taking care of it. And it's awesome. I love them. I think that I love the letters that Jenny writes. I love how alike and not alike Jamie she is. I love her children. I really love them, and so they're important to me. And then the last honorable mention is Fergus. He isn't on my top 5 because of some decisions he makes later on in the series, especially in book 6, which I'm reading right now. He's very frustrating to me. I know life is hard for him, but I honestly am slowly liking Fergus in the show better than Fergus in the book. And anytime that happens, you're not in my favorite list. If I like the version of you in the show better, it usually means you're not a favorite character for me. But sadly, Fergus isn't in. But he's still an honorable mention, and he means a lot to me. So let's get into my list. So number 5 is Marceline. And I love Marceline from the moment that we meet her, when she's only 15, and she's decided that this almost 30-year-old man is the one for her. She's left her family. She blackmails her stepfather, Jamie, into letting her have what she wants. And I love how she is just blunt and in Claire's face about things, but then as she comes to see Claire, she can make up her own decisions, and she realizes that her mother has a lot of hurt that she was dealing with. And while she still loves her mom, of course she does, she really comes to see Claire as, she calls her Mama Claire or Mother Claire. And I love it. I love it so much. I love their relationship. I love how Claire is always there for her and that they talk through so many things. And I love how strong Marceline is. Outlander has some of the strongest women in fiction. The things that she loves her husband so much, but even back in, like, she says it in book 5, she's like, you will ask my husband to do this because I will have a whole man or I won't have one at all. And I don't care if he doesn't have a hand. He is a man to me, and you need to help him see himself as a man. And I love it. I think she's so strong. In the book, she has a disabled child, a dwarf child, and the way that she just stands up for him and loves him, and then the grief that she goes through with that situation, I love her. I love her so much, and every time I read her, I love her more. Number 4, and this is like the whole, like, guys, this is splitting hairs, and again, these positions change depending on whose perspective I'm reading and when I'm reading the book, but number 4 is Roger. I love Roger. I love him so much. He's only usurped by the people in front of him, which you'll see, because this time through, I'm in love with those people. But I've loved Roger from the first time I read it. I never had seen, like, I read these books before the second season came out, so I never saw how they were going to choose to play Roger. And here's the thing, like, again, I'm not comparing it with the show, but I feel like so many people, you will never fully appreciate Roger Mack unless you read the books, because they've made him, and it's not that the things he does in the show aren't things he's done in the book, it's just the way that they have him do it is just done just a little bit differently, and differently enough that you don't like it. Where in the book, when he does those things, you're in his head and you fully understand why he's doing them and who he is and where he's coming from. And I'm actually on his side a lot of the times with Bree, because he is saying all the right things to her. Like, you're the one that I want. You're the one who's most important. And she's like, I don't want to marry you, but we can sleep together. And he's like, no, like, you're not like anyone else to me. You're the one for me. And I just love that. I love how he stands up for himself and his beliefs. And right now in the book, he's becoming a minister. And I love that. I love that he's following after his adopted father, his great uncle. And I love that he is trying to do, like, he's trying to find a way that he can be most useful in this time. And he's good at listening to people, and he's good at comforting people. And he learned those things from his father. And, like, though Jamie doesn't completely get it, he respects him for it. And their relationship only gets deeper as time goes on. And I love it. I love Roger so much. And him and Bree together in the books, I love it. I've said this in a lot of my reviews. Well, specifically for book 5, because that's when they're married. They're not just, like, dating or anything. But Roger and Bree's relationship is a much more, like, real, corporeal thing to me. It's not this unattainable love. It is realistic. It is, they are long distance for a while. They fight about things. They aren't sure based on their religion if things can work out. Like, it is a real thing. They have different beliefs on things, and they have to fight it out and figure it out. And I love that about their relationship. And I love how Roger is, in so many ways, a perfect husband, and in other ways, not at all. And I love that. I love that. Number 3 is LJG, Lord John Grey. Oh my word, do I love this character. And while I will admit to this time through on the reread, picturing John Barry as John Grey to me, because the description of Lord John Grey in the books is that he's like 5'5" and very delicate looking, very beautiful, definitely more the feminine man. That is just not how I see him, because he's so larger than life and dignified and a gentleman and always putting his friendships first, and the way that he loves Jamie, but he loves him so well. He loves him as such a true friend. When he knows there can't be anything more between them, because Jamie could never be in a gay relationship with him. He just doesn't feel that way. Besides all the things that happened to Jamie as a younger man, the way that he, like, Lord John Grey never holds that against him or gets bitter. In fact, he decides, well, if I can't have you as a lover, I'm going to do everything else to be the best friend you could ever have. And I'm going to love your family and be friends with your wife and love your children. Like, literally take one of your children as my own. There is no character more selfless than Lord John Grey in this book series. There isn't one. There's no one less subserving of his own agenda. And honestly, I love it. And later on in the series, which I'm not really spoiling anything past book 5. I don't want to like talk about that since I haven't reviewed that yet on my channel. But things that happen with him when we get his POV, which I believe is in the next one. I think we get that in 7. I can't wait for it because we get his POV some in like for little parts in other books, but when we get chapters of his POV in book 7 and 8, I love him and I ache for him. I want him to have happiness and love, and it hurts me when he can't. But he also isn't fatalistic about it. He's like, this time just wasn't made for me. Like, this is the choices that I have to live with. And he never like mopes in it or lets it defeat him. He just goes on being a kind and wonderful human. And I love Lord John Grey. Love him. All right. Number 2 is Ian Murray. Wow. Number 2 is Ian Murray Jr. Young Ian, wee Ian, whatever we call him. I love this character. I'm saying that about all of them, right? This is my list of characters I love the most. But there's something about Ian. And what did it for me the first time through this series, right? And this time I'm really enjoying it. But the first time through this series, he's just tagging along. And he's an object of us trying to save him in one book. And then he is, you know, off with the natives a lot in this book. In fact, he sacrifices himself and is a man of worth at the end of the 4th book. And then he comes back at the end of the Fiery Cross, and he's a completely different person. He has lived a whole life in just a couple of years. He has been married. He's lost 3 children to miscarriage, or 1 to stillbirth, 2 to miscarriage. He's lost a wife, and he comes back home broken and hardened and just weary, worn of life. And he's so young. He's only like 21. And still, there's so much life in Ian. And he's such an insightful character. He's such a caring person. He is brave and strong and true. And when I am so excited for rereading 7 and 8, because we have a POV of Ian in 6. I've had a POV of his, so he's a POV now, but we get a lot from him when he meets a future love interest. I cannot wait for book 9 because I just want more of him and what's going on there. And I love how he's grown up, the things he went through, the assault that happened to him, the things he's lived through just makes him, again, it makes him a better human. And I love, he's the first one to accept Claire when she comes back of Jamie's family, calling her Auntie Claire, and I love their relationship. He's such a sweet, kind person, and I love him with just so much of my heart, and I can't wait to see more of him. I love wee Ian. And then finally, if you haven't guessed it yet, my number 1 favorite character, besides Jamie and Claire, in Outlander is Brianna Randall Fraser Mackenzie. I never fully appreciated Bri until maybe book 7 the first time through. I definitely felt for her during Drums of Autumn. I definitely, I understood her character when things were happening because she loved Frank. And nothing about that love should she have to apologize for when she meets Jamie, because she never knew him. She doesn't have any loyalty to him over her father who raised her, and as far as she knew was a wonderful man until she starts to learn more about him. But the second time through, I really tried to sink into her from the very first time we see her, even when she's seeming like such a bitch, when she's being so mean to her mother and saying these words, calling her mother a whore, calling her mother these things. And this time through, I just got her. And I still don't approve of those things, but I don't approve of myself when I act that way. And that's really the point, is that I just feel so much kinship with Brie. And maybe it's because I'm more her age. And again, her love story is more realistic to me. And the way she feels about love and the way she reacts to things, she's hot-headed, but she's also a problem solver, and she works hard, and she doesn't let things defeat her. And she's just so amazing, but so down to earth. Like, she is not an unattainable woman the way that Claire is to me. And I know Claire's human. I love her. She's one of my favorite protagonists in literature. But she still has this, like, otherworldliness about her. Claire Fraser does to me. Whereas Brianna, when I'm reading her scenes, I feel like I'm walking in her shoes so much more, because her brain isn't thinking about healing people or trying to solve historical problems. Like, she's just trying to live day to day, whichever time period she's living in, trying to make it the best that she can for her family, trying to bear her husband's burdens and be there for her mother, because she's her and Roger are the only other ones who can fully understand, like, Claire and the dichotomy of being from two different times. And she's just such a wonderful woman, and I love watching her grow. So if you've hated Brie in the past, if you've only read this series once, I really recommend you give her another chance, particularly in later books, because I think she's a wonderful woman, and I love reading about her. So there you go. Those are my favorite characters in Diana's books, ranked about my strongest feelings for them right now. I adore this book series, this TV series, and next week I should be back with reviews for both 5 and 6. So again, pardon my delay, but we'll be back on track for next week. Okay, thank you so much for watching. I put up new videos 3 to 4 times a week, and have a wonderful day. Bye.